Oh god, this is just disgustingly scrawny. I should be illegal to wear a t-shirt. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of The Last Line Show, and today I have a double upload for you. First, I gave you Wonder Woman news, and now I'm going over some Green Lantern news. So we actually have a Green Lantern Corps movie coming out. So what do we know so far? David Goyer and Justin Rose are going to be working on the project, along with Geoff Johns. So Geoff Johns is essentially responsible for getting everyone in tune with each other. You know, that Wonder Woman connects to Batman vs. Superman, and that everything connects to The Flash, and Aquaman, and all these future movies feel like they're in the same universe. So he just started getting in right after Suicide Squad came about, so now he is taking the reins and trying to see that we can connect all these movies together. So I definitely believe that he's not going to let his baby, because for those of you who don't know, Geoff Johns is not only the creator of a lot of Green Lanterns, but he's also written stories like Blackest Night, which is an incredible Green Lantern saga, and then also Infinite Crisis. So he's definitely, Green Lantern is very dear to him. I would not believe for a second that he's going to give us a poor Green Lantern movie, very much like the one we got. Oh man. And I do not blame Ryan Reynolds for that movie at all. I don't blame the actors, I just blame the fact that I don't believe the DC executives had any faith in the project, and I believe they wanted to try to pander to as many people as possible, and it just didn't work. They didn't use any of the material and the great art and the great things that they could use from the source material in the Green Lantern comics and lore. They just took so much of it away and stripped it down. They could have done so much more. But let's move on. Let's be happy about this, that Green Lantern can come back. They have to. Green Lantern is one of the founding fathers. In the comics, it's usually Hal Jordan. Even in the Justice League series that lasted many years, we had John Stewart as the primary Green Lantern for that series. So they're important characters. Without a doubt, we have to see them. So let's get into it. The movie will be called Green Lantern Corps, which is great because it recognizes that there's more than one Green Lantern. Now, it's going to be focusing on Hal Jordan and John Stewart. Now, those are two very, very famous and popular Green Lanterns, and they're looking for supposedly what they say is a Lethal Weapon-esque style movie, which is great because both these characters are thick-headed, hate authority, and have two different personalities and will probably butt heads like crazy. So I'm all for it, and apparently they want it to be a space adventure, or at least primarily off of Earth, which I like as well because they're an intergalactic police force essentially. So I like that idea, so they can definitely run with that. So I want to focus on two things: the lanterns that we'll be seeing, and possibly the lanterns that we will see or aren't going to see at the moment. And then the second thing is what this means for the DC Cinematic Universe. So let's start with the lanterns. First, I want to go over some of the lanterns we are not going to see, that at least either won't be the main focus or will cameo, or however we'll see them. They're not the main focus of this movie. Let's get started into that. First, I have Simon Baz. He's one of the newest Green Lanterns of Earth. He's a Lebanese American, an automotive engineer. He has a street racing problem. He lost his job. He stole a car unknowingly with a bomb that ended up blowing up, and he was framed for terrorism, essentially being questioned. While being questioned, a fused ring of Hal Jordan and Sinestro, both presumed dead, find its way to Simon Baz, bringing him into the Green Lantern fold. His constructs and special abilities include basically automotive-based and tool-based constructs, so the things that his ring creates, and the ability to heal is stronger than most Green Lanterns have, and also even some Blue Lanterns. And Blue Lanterns, one of they are known for is the ability to heal. Next, we have Jessica Cruz. Jessica Cruz is the newest and first female Green Lantern of Earth. She witnessed her friends being murdered and escaped. She also shut herself into seclusion for years, and she suffers from high anxiety. She was chosen against her will by a power ring from Harold Jordan of Alternate Earth 3. So this is from an alternate Earth, and it chose her against her will, which this is not typical of most rings, and definitely not of Green Lantern rings, as they pick people that will embrace the willpower and already have willpower. So this is definitely a little different. She was kind of forced into this role against her will. She's also a very relatable character for many, as many people around the world have high anxiety. So this is definitely a very interesting character that they've recently introduced. Next, we have Guy Gardner. He was actually the second human Green Lantern. He was meant to be Hal Jordan's backup. He was abused by his father as a child, so he had a horrible upbringing. He became a social worker for prison inmates. He struggles deeply with his anger and aggression, eventually became a Red Lantern, also part Voldarian, and his constructs and special abilities. He's most known for his brutal strength, especially after his Voldarian abilities kicked in. And he's kind of a dick. I'm not a big fan of this guy. Guy Gardner is also a Lantern that is said to have one of the strongest willpowers in the entire Lantern Corps. It is said that his ring even glows when he's not even using his powers. Last of all, before we get to the final two Lanterns that we'll focus on for the movie, you have Kyle Rayner. He's a struggling graphic artist. Man, I feel you, brother. Mexican and Irish descent, biracial, just like me, can appreciate that. His young life was on the run with his mother and father. His father was a Black Ops agent. Kyle was meant to be a random guy with unrealized heroic potential that became the new Green Lantern by sheer chance, making him extremely relatable to many. His ring is a reforged, discarded ring of Hal Jordan, during a time that Hal Jordan had lost it and destroyed the Lantern Corps, and so much more. Constructs and special abilities. He has some of the most creative and complicated constructs of all the Lanterns. He was one of the only Lanterns to ever hold all the rings and live, and currently is a White Lantern of life, making him the most powerful singular Lantern at the moment. He's able to wield all 7 of the Lantern Corps abilities. I personally really relate to this character and I enjoy this character, and he's had such an important role into many of the new stories that have been out in the past couple years, so I feel like we'll definitely get this character. Finally, we have the two leads. First, we have John Stewart. He was meant to be Guy Gardner's temporary, and Hal Jordan did not agree. He was an architect, a U.S. Marine veteran, skilled tactician, expert in hand-to-hand combat, and various weapons, mostly long range. He's thick-headed and has trouble with authority. First African-American superhero for DC, or at least the first most notable, and honestly, I feel he can definitely be DC's next Black Panther. Not to say that Cyborg will not play out a good role and do a good job, but John Stewart is just more the Black Panther archetype. He's serious, badass, seasoned. Cyborg has always been the more brash and funny, and young. Constructs and special abilities include, he uses mostly military-type constructs including snipers and vehicles, but also has an immense willpower. And it is said that John Stewart possesses more willpower than the ring can handle, and his constructs are said to be the strongest in the Lantern Corps. They're never hollowed on the inside. They're always detailed from every inch. Finally, we have Hal Jordan, also a military man, as an Air Force pilot. Similar to John Stewart, he has issues with authority, and however, instead of being a serious and stubborn, he's a crack jokes, don't care kind of stubborn. Hal Jordan is the first human Green Lantern in the entire Green Lantern Corps, if you exclude Alan Scott from the golden age of comics. And I say this because the character of Green Lantern has largely been different between Alan Scott's Green Lantern and present-day Green Lanterns. He's been through a lot. He's kind of died many times. He was possessed by the entity of fear, Parallax. He destroyed the entire Lantern Corps. He has saved the entire Lantern Corps. He's had his ups and downs. Constructs and special abilities. Hal Jordan is one of the most powerful Lanterns, and his constructs tend to be very military or tool-based. He uses mostly planes and weapons very often. Now, these two characters could definitely give that Lethal Weapon-esque style. They both hate authority, they're not fans of each other, and one of them is a wisecrack and one of them is serious and stubborn. So I think they could definitely play off each other very well, especially if they cast very well. Now, side note, I also find it hilarious that the Lanterns are like the only characters in the DC universe that have no problem backsassing Batman, when some of the most powerful characters in the DC universe are scared shitless to try something like that. But apparently, most of the Lanterns don't give a shit, and they'll just backsass the shit out of Batman. Now, second, why is this so great for the future of DC Cinematic Universe? Giving us this movie does a couple things. Other than trying to redeem itself, it gives us an idea that Green Lantern is more than just one person. Yes, there are several Green Lanterns that are more notable, but in all, there are a lot of interesting characters, a lot of interesting main Earth characters, and Green Lanterns in the Corps that aren't even from Earth. So it broadens the horizon to the fact that it is an entire galactic police force. So we know that there is more out there, and also that there's more corps out there. You have the Red Lanterns of Rage, which are fantastic. You have the Blue Lanterns of Hope, which actually make Green Lanterns more powerful when they're in the same vicinity. There's such lore, and there's so many other characters. We all know Sinestro, the Yellow Lantern of Fear. He's been in a million things. We just opened the door for a lot more characters and a lot more storylines, because the Green Lantern Corps, they can introduce a lot more characters and also bring a lot more stories into the fold. If you hadn't read Blackest Night by Geoff Johns, you definitely should. The comic's right here. It involves not only all the Lantern Corps, but it involves all the superheroes, Batman, Superman, Flash. It brings everyone, even villains, into the fold. It's a really great story, and honestly, after our guys fight Darkseid eventually, I think the Blackest Night series could definitely be the next journey that they go into. And it helps that Geoff Johns himself wrote it, so he definitely would have a good hand in guiding it along that direction, but Who knows what they'll do next? That's for another talk and another time. So that's really all I have to say. On a side note, I really hope we get to see a lot of the characters that we did actually see in the last movie, and that we see in the comics, that we've seen in animated series. I hope we get a Sinestro. Honestly, we don't need to see him as a Green Lantern at this point. I think we can just get him as an already kind of turned traitor Yellow Lantern. I'd love to see Tom Ray. I'd love to see Kilowog. I'd love to see Stel. He's just a badass robot. I'd love to see Mogo the Planet. I'd love to see a lot of these characters. I mean, I hope we see Kyle Rayner. I really hope you also get to see Jessica Cruz and Simon Baz. I think they've definitely been very relatable characters to a lot of people out there recently, all three of them. So I'd like to see them broaden the horizon and maybe a second Green Lantern movie if we get so lucky to get one. But I think this next Green Lantern movie could be great. That's just my opinion. But I'd love to know what you guys think. What kind of storyline do you think they should go? Should they go off fighting the Red Lantern? Should they be stopping a whole nother enemy? Who should they fight? Obviously not another smoke monster like the last movie, but what should we do? You know, I'd love to know your opinions on the matter. Who should be casted as who? What we do know right now is Hal Jordan might be Armie Hammer. He's definitely trolled us a lot on Twitter. I mean, that's 100%. He's definitely really good at trolling if he's really not that character. I'd love to see Idris Elba as Jon Stewart. There's definitely a lot of other people that could play that character. But what would you guys? Who would you guys have as who? I'd love to know your fan cast. I'm gonna list a couple as well. Stop! Now you know Mark Strong was born for this role. Like, straight out of the comics. I'm done. This was actually good. But love to hear what you guys have to say. So that's my thoughts. That's my Green Lantern news. I'm super excited for a Green Lantern Corps movie. As you can see by all the stuff behind me, I absolutely love the Green Lantern and everything that they bring to the table. So let me know what you guys think. Are you excited for a Green Lantern movie? Will you give it a shot? Keep being nerds and embrace the Green Lantern's light.
In brightest day, in blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware my power, Green Lantern's light!